Welcome to Big Life Weekly Series, where we empower high achievers to break free from limits, unlock their natural potential, and live a big life. I'm your host, Robert Acosta, and each week we will explore the strategies, mindsets, and tools you need to thrive, not just in your professional career, but in every aspect of your life. Whether you're a leader looking for a better balanced life, an entrepreneur aiming for sustainable success, or someone ready to take the next step toward your best self, this podcast is your space to grow, reflect, and take action. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, I'm Robert Acosta. I'm with Jim Hardwick from Magnificent Significance in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. And you said magnificent significance very well. I always say, I can say it, but I can't spell it.
So let's jump right in and start showcasing your business. Jim, can you give us a 90-second, or a little bit more could be, overview of what your business does and why you got into it?
Absolutely. My business, and I have a few different businesses, but Magnificent Significance, I take business owners, business leaders to Kenya on a 7-day safari. We're going again in October because I wrote a program about embracing your servant's heart to elevate your business. It's about when you start serving others, when you give back, the impact that makes, when you live a life with purpose, that makes, it's not about the money, it's about how we can make a difference in each person's life. And this program, because I've worked with so many, as another part of my business, I also am a fractional outsourced VP of sales. So I work with a lot of business owners to help them grow their revenue. And I see the struggles they have and what they go through. And then my third business is I lead a dental team with my wife to Kenya every year on our foundation to work with the Maasai people in Kenya, which is an indigenous tribe. And we do dental work over there. And we're in the process of building a dental clinic. And probably next year this time, I'd be calling you from Kenya because I'm going to be living over there for 3 or 4 months a year. So all that builds to magnificent significance to really talk to people about what's your purpose? What's your passion? How do you change and how do you build a life of significance and build that legacy that you're proud of?
Yeah, that's amazing. So I think this is obvious, but what do you enjoy most about your work in what you do?
I am 64 years old. I was in corporate America for 36 years. And anybody that's listening that's been to corporate America, if you're there now or have been, there's highs and lows. And there's the struggles with corporate America. I work for myself. And what I enjoy most is making a difference and also sharing the difference I've made. We laugh because we go to Kenya. It's normal for us. It's what we do. It's who we've become, Robert. But, people will say, gosh, you go to Kenya? That must be, really crazy. Well, we spend hours and hours preparing for our dental work to get over there. And we do pop-up clinics. And it's just, we don't look at it as this great adventure. We look at it as this is something that just who we've become, especially since we're the people that never wanted to go to Africa. Right. And so now we have fallen in love. They call it the African itch. Anybody that's on this call this program that has been to Africa, it's called the African itch, and you just end up falling in love with the African people. And so I just love that I'm motivated every day. I fly out of bed every day because every day is an opportunity to touch base with somebody new, meet somebody new, and also share what it's like when you actively live a life of service. Because, Robert, one of the things that people don't talk about, but it's so true, is when you serve others, it comes back to you tenfold.
Yeah.
You got to have the right heart. And you can't go out and say, well, Jim said I'm going to serve others and it's going to come back tenfold. So instead of 100,000, I'm going to make $1 million. No. It's got to be you got to have the right heart for service.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think these next questions could be even more amazing. How do you define success in the work you do?
Well, I look at success and significance as two different words.
Mm.
Success to me is all about me. How many cars can I have? How many homes can I have? How much money can I have? It's about me, and you need success in order to do things and feed yourself, and if you go to college and take care of your family, okay? You need to be a hardworking individual to get that done. So there's nothing wrong with success. Significance is all about others. How can I impart my wisdom, knowledge, and experience into others so they can find a life of significance? So I would say, in terms of my program, success is taking 8 people to Kenya on safari and having them really have a transformational experience and reflect of how they're going to create a life of significance in their business, which will change their business, their clients, and their family. And that to me is success because, and the other thing, Robert, the reason I get people over there, because when we go our dental work, we are partnered with a safari camp. I want to get people out of their comfort zone because I can
Mm.
do my program at the Holiday Inn Express in Phoenix. And then you go home at night, the water heater broke, the dog ran away, the kids won't do their homework. You don't have a chance to reflect. When you go to Kenya and you're on safari and you're sitting in front of 18 lions, which I was 2 years ago, you really can see how magnificent the world is and give
Right.
you a chance to reflect on what's important. And then I like to say that as you fly home for 24 hours, because it takes a long time to get home, and you've watched all the episodes of Friends on the back of the TV, you can sit there and really reflect on what you're going to do when you get back. What changes I'm going to make? How am I going to create that culture I want to create by starting to serve my clients, starting to serve my employees?
Yeah, I think you make a very important point about money, about having the means to do something. If you really want to do something of significance in the world, you definitely need to have money because that's the way the world is working. So there's no other way. So that's what I think. Yeah, success could be related to your to the money, but the significance is that what you really enjoy and what you makes you feel alive, right? That's in that peace of mind that you're doing something for others.
Absolutely. If I can jump on that, I was talking to a life coach last week, and she does. She charges $250,000 a year to coach somebody. Okay, she's dealing with people at extremely high wealth. I mean, mega wealth, right? If they're going to spend 250,000 a year for her, and she's a life coach, she's a confidant, she does it all. And I asked her, I said, "What's the number one thing, the problems these very wealthy people experience? What is it?" And you know, I don't have a clue. She says, they don't have a sense of purpose. They're miserable
Right.
because they have everything material they could also possibly want. She goes, they think, well, maybe I could buy another Ferrari. I already have 5 of those. Or maybe I can go out and get another girlfriend, or I can do some psychedelic drugs, or I can drink, or I can have a dual family. These are all things she came up with, which obviously she's seen in her coaching experience. And she shared that with me. She goes, they lack a sense of purpose. And it's really sad because people like that, they could give, they could help. There's millions of foundations out there. They could help a foundation because not everybody wants to do the act of service, but the act of providing finances is a huge act of service. And sometimes people don't equate that. Well, I give to this organization, but I'm not really into serving others. No, 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 no. You don't understand. That's a huge service to others
Right.
because you've got the financial means to bless a foundation to help them then help others. And people are different. And so never lose sight. And also don't ever lose sight is if you give $10, if you give $100,000, every dollar can make a difference. Some people, oh, I just have so little money. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
$5, $10,
Oh,
It makes a huge difference. Huge.
So I'm just curious, what is the biggest challenge that you see in what you do? Because if you really want to do it effectively and even more frequently, maybe to have that impact or to increase that impact, what is that challenge that you have sometimes, and how are you solving that for yourself and for the community that you serve?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge from a magnificent significance standpoint is letting people know that it's out there, that what I do, in that I'm offering a trip of a lifetime, a trip to go to Kenya. And I can also come and I can present, I can do the same program like I talked about, but I can come to the organizations if somebody wants to and do the program. But I'm really trying to get people to go beyond their borders. One, think outside of where they normally think, but two, go on a trip to Africa, to a third world country. A lot of people, Robert, want to go to Africa, but they don't know where to go. You know,
Right.
it's a big continent. We've been to many, many of the countries over there now because after we do our dental work, we usually go and hang out for a week someplace else because we're already there. But there's places you don't want to go. And
Right.
so I've had numerous people say, well, I want to go with you, Jim, because you know what you're doing.
Oh,
You
exactly.
know, these are, as far as I like to say, these are my people. Because of the relationship with the safari camp, once you hit the ground, you're taken care of from day one. So it's really my biggest challenge from a business perspective is letting people know what I'm doing, that it exists. And I also want to throw this out. If people want to talk about it, or I was telling you earlier, I have a podcast called Magnificent Significance. If people have themselves have taken on this servant attitude, get a hold of me. Let's talk about it. Or if you're frustrated in your life and you're down and you're in corporate America and you're feeling like it's a treadmill that's never going to end and it's going a million miles an hour, call me. You
Right.
know, I've been there. I've been there. I know what it's all about. I took a year off because of stress one time in corporate America. I was passing out on airplanes. I couldn't feel my hands. I was having heart issues. So I
Mm.
took a year off and I vowed that I would never let that happen again. And I went back to corporate America for a few years and I I never let it happen again. I realized, you know what? It's just a job. It's easy to say when you're in the throes of it. I mean, I'm the guy that had to take a year off because of stress, and back then it became more than a job, and I was a zombie. I was just a zombie in my house. My wife, after I took a year off, the first 2 weeks taken off, she looks at me and goes, "Boy, it's nice to have you back," because I had totally was just zoned out. I was just in a funk because it was so much pressure. So I think people have been in corporate. Have you, Robert? Were you in corporate America for a while, or were you smart and did your own thing from day one?
Well, I wasn't that smart because I spent 30 years in corporate America. Not anymore. And I had a great life, to be honest. It was a very nice life, but now I have a better one doing things on my own. So
Yeah,
I know the feeling.
it's yeah. Corporate, corporate has its ups and downs, its valleys, it's the mountain highs, it's the walk through the valley of hell. It has everything.
Right.
And once you've done it for 30 years, I did it for 36 years. What you find, all businesses are the same. It's just they got a different name on it, and
Mhm.
culturally they might have a little bit of different culture. But once you get in there, there's always that one person, right, or that one way they do things that just drives you crazy.
Yeah.
And I always used to assume that, man, these people are really, really smart that are running these places. And then once you get older, you realize they're not always really smart. They got there why they got there. For a lot of them are very bright, but sometimes they don't have people skills. They don't have leadership skills. And
Oh, yeah,
that's
lots.
what's hard for the employees that they manage, because we're the employees that then suffer for their lack of ability, or because their ego is so big, they won't seek help or read a book that maybe to help them become a better person or a better manager. So,
Mostly today that with AI, everybody's scared with AI, but there's one thing that AI cannot replace, and that's being a leader. Kind of what you were describing, like leading other people. It's only for humans. And yes, we can see very bad leaders, a lack of the right leadership in the world. Of course, in corporate America and in all the world in education, legislation, governments, businesses, there's a lack of leadership, and that it's something that not even AI is going to solve. It's going to be
Yeah.
you, and maybe that's why people are looking for what you say, the purpose or better outcomes in their life, which has to be more than money. So, what makes you unique in the way you help those people to find that meaning in their life or what they really want? What would you say is unique about you?
I think I'm unique because 36 years in corporate America. I've worked in large, or $110 billion organization. I worked in small family business. So I've got the breadth of business. I'm unique because I, I live every day what I preach with my foundation of going to Kenya. So I know what it means to serve and how it changes people's lives, changes my life, changes the people we go with. And then because of that, and that's the reason I wrote my program, I think I can relate and I can help people and show them. Sometimes people are so close to something they can't see it. I mean, you do coaching, Robert, you know that a different perspective, a different eyes. And, I think I've acquired a lot of wisdom because I'm an old guy.
No, you're not all at all. You're only 5 years ahead of me.
Well, I'm 64 years old as of about a week ago, and
Oh,
it's amazing. It's not. I always say it's not that I'm that smart. It's just that I've lived a long time and I've seen just about everything, and it enables me to look at things from a different perspective.
well, definitely.
And you also, as you age, you start realizing that life is short. At 64, you're starting to get more and more people that are either getting cancer or passed away and that sort of thing. And so one of the things I preach a lot is about, or talk a lot, I don't want to say preach, is about living a life of intention, being
Right.
intentional. And have you ever driven down the street or driven down the road or you're on the freeway and you think, Robert, you're driving down, boy, I need to call Bill. I haven't talked to Bill in a while. And then something good comes on the radio and you never call Bill. In my life, when I think I need to call Bill, I call Bill. There's a reason why God, the universe, whatever you aspire to, put Bill in my brain. And more often than not, if you do take the time to call Bill, you'll find out there's a reason why. It's amazing how that happens. Bill may be suffering something. Bill needs, or maybe he just needs a good joke that day, or Bill's having marriage problems, or Bill's whatever. It's being intentional on those things. And I go back to when we first did I was in Kenya on safari, and that's where the thought and the vision came to me to bring a dental team back. Is normally, I would have just said, it'd be cool to bring a dental team, and then come back to the United States and 5 years go by and said, that would have been fun, but I never did it. Man, as soon as I thought about bringing a dental team, I went back to the tent that night. I asked my wife, who's been a dental hygienist for 40 years, I said, I want to bring a dental team back. We took our first team back 10 months later. We set up in a tent and we saw 191 patients.
Right.
Yeah, that's being intentional.
Yeah, I think that's the lesson. I always say people live like a zombie life, and sometimes it's most of the time it's not even your life because you were told a story when you were a kid. So and they condition you who you need to love, how you need to earn money, how do you need to spend time and have a house, a car, a wife, or a husband, and then you're set up, and then you just live that story, which most of the time it's not even something that you like. So that conditioning makes us just react to life rather than really being living, and that's exactly what I teach. I teach people to think, to use your mental faculties, and to use that intuition that you just mentioned, in a way that whatever comes to your mind is for a reason, because there's a lot of things telling you where to go. There's a lot of solutions, but you have to act immediately. Otherwise, nothing's gonna happen, and you're gonna be still living that zombie life. But unfortunately, most people don't recognize or don't know that they can live different. That's why this podcast is called Big Life. So I'm discovering who is living a big life or who wants to live a big life out of that zombie life and really do something beyond themselves and really enjoy what you just mentioned, that the giving, the gift of giving to others is the way everybody should be living, and it's a beautiful way of living. And I can see in yourself that you're happy and excited every second of your life because you're doing something for someone else. Not, and of course for you is gonna come back tenfold, as you say, but the joy is what is coming back to you, right?
I just love what you just said about we learn at a young age a certain story.
Yeah.
And that's because I was at a wedding, marriage conference with my wife 6 months ago, and it was a great weekend. We've been married 40 years. There was a couple there that's been married 6 months. So, and then everything in between, right? And so the whole marriage conference was about when you come into a marriage, you bring the way you saw your parents argue, the way you handled this, all those things, you bring that with you into the marriage. And that you've got to realize that maybe that's not the right way. And now you have a marriage that you've got to work and understand how you're going to handle conflict, how you're going to make decisions. So you got to break, exactly what you said, Robert, you got to break that story and change that story so it becomes your story. And it's I don't think it's hard. It's not hard to do if you're aware of it. And if you're not aware of it, and people like you, Robert, enable people to understand, I'm living a story that maybe isn't the right story.
Exactly.
There's a light bulb moment, right?
Yeah, and there's easy. Say, how do I know that I'm living the right story or not? Well, it's easy. See your results. If you don't like the results you're having in your life, if you're envisioning a different kind of life, it's because there is something that you are thinking. There is something that you are believing. There is something that you're living through that story that is not conducive to what you want. So you have to change it. You have to change the story. And that's exactly what I do. I help people to change the story in the one that give them the results that they truly want. But of course, first of all, you need to answer that question. What do you want? Yeah. And from there are a lot of people that don't know, because guess who is going to answer that? Your story. What you were learned to want. That's another say. It's a conditioning. So that's why I always say, if you really want to have a big life, if you really want to serve others and do something beyond yourself, you have to stop being yourself. You have to stop that story and figure it out who you really want to be. And then you need tools. You need guidance.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're not going to make it, or it's going to be a long way to make it. And I think that's what you provide, and that's what I provide, just for people that really want to change the story.
Well, and I love that. And I think part of the issue is people are afraid of change.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's a conditioning as well.
Right. But you nailed it when you said that if you don't like your story, do something else. Did you ever watch Seinfeld and George Costanza on Seinfeld?
Not much. Wasn't my favorite, but I know the show.
Okay. So George Costanza, short little guy, he didn't like his story, so he started doing everything opposite that he normally did at work. And guess what? He started getting all these accolades. He started getting promoted. Everything changed because he just changed the story, which was quite humorous at the time on the sitcom. But what I tell people is, jump into the pool. Don't dip your toe in because the water might be a little cold. Jump all the way into the pool, because that's when learning starts.
Exactly.
That's when you immerse yourself in the opportunity to change and to learn. And you come out of that a different person. And if you just complain, oh, life is so bad, or I hate my job, or this relationship, fight for your relationships, right? And if you don't like your job, I always, when people bitch and moan about their jobs, I always think, when they hired you, were you bitching and moaning then? No, you were so excited. You went out and you celebrated, and you probably had a few beers or wine, celebrate, congratulate, I got a new job. And then all of a sudden, you're in the job 2 or 3 years. Now you start becoming cynical. Well, what has happened to you to create that? And if it's a situation where you need to reflect and change it within your job, then change your attitude or go look for another job and quit complaining.
Right.
Doggone it, because you're going to be miserable. And I guarantee you, if you're miserable, you're not doing a good job. And if you're miserable, your boss is probably miserable that you're there. So do yourself a favor, go get a new job, something you aspire to, and don't be afraid of change.
Yeah, yeah, you're going to influence even your family, and it's exactly the opposite that I'm promoting, and that's what I say. Most people live a small life, a life that people think that if I can pay my bills and I'm a good father and a good parent, that's the purpose of my life. And let me tell you, that's your responsibility. That's the minimum thing that you have to do. So it's not heroic to have a roof on your family. It's you decided to have a family. You better do that. But guess what? That's exactly what a tiger or a horse or a pig does. You're a human being. What else? What is your contribution to the world? Because you have mental faculties that no other species in this planet has. So use them, and then that's when you're going to start living a big life. And that's why my concept is the compound effect of millions of small lives is why we are living in the world that we are living. So think about the other way around. The compound effect of millions of big lives can change the world like this. So it's not necessarily for you to be happy. It's for everyone. Everyone wants and needs that you live a big life. And that's the purpose of my life. That's what I'm doing this podcast. That's why I invited you to show to the world that it's possible. And let me tell you, and it's simple. You just have to make a decision that you say, jump into the pool right now. Don't wait. So that's the proposal.
Did you like my pool analogy because you're an ex-swimmer and you're a swimming coach?
I'm a swimmer. So I love that. So let me ask you this. If you could have lunch with one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Okay. I got to say two but I'm going to push that answer aside. The first one would be Jesus for me. Okay. That's typical. A Christian's going to say that. My one person would be Gandhi.
Wow.
Just because that man, his presence, his soul, his heart is absolutely inspiring. I saw the movie Gandhi, I think, when I was a freshman in high school. And Ben Killingsley was Gandhi, who played Gandhi. And that has stuck with me all these years. What an amazing story that man had in a situation where he became so reverent and powerful in a place that didn't embrace what he was trying to accomplish. And he's an amazing person. That would be my lunch. And at lunch, we'd probably go to a pizza joint because I love pizza.
That's amazing. Okay, well, this has been amazing, and I think talking with those people or living in those circumstances, and that example of Gandhi is exactly that you can see around your life and say, whatever you are living, you can change it. Whatever you can live it, you can thrive through it. Because if that guy, as many other examples that we have in the world with the worst conditions, have survived, and not only survived, but thrive and influence a lot of people, you maybe that way you demonstrate, or we demonstrate, that it's just a matter of wanted.
Yes.
Just, you have all the potential, you have all the capacity to do it. Of course, you need guidance and all those kind of things to do it better or faster, but the potential is there. And that's what I say to people. And I'm going to tell you, Jim, I know you. Even though this is the first time we speak, and hopefully it's not going to be the last, I know exactly who you are, because you and me are exactly the same. We have the same potential, the same capacity. The only difference, as I mentioned, is the story you were told.
Yeah.
That's the only difference between you and me. So let's write down another story, the story of your life. And as you mentioned that you're 64, let me tell you, you're gonna be eager to be in your 70s and your 80s, because if you take care of yourself physically, which is something that I help people to do as well, when you're in your 80s, you're wealthy, you're wiser, and you're physical fit, you're gonna love it. A lot of people say, well, 20s was the best. No, the 20s, you're ignorant, you don't know what to do, you don't understand life. So I'm eager, I'm 59. And I'm eager to be in my 80s because I think it's going to be the best time of my life. So you see, that's the story that I have in my, rather than the typical story that, no, I'm 60, you just mentioned that. So I'm going down. So it's over. My life, it's finished at 60. And now we live more years than ever. So you have another 40 years to live. You can start from scratch your life right now and have a beautiful life from now on. So that's the way people need to see life, and we need it. We needed people to see that way so we can do much more things into this world, right?
I love it, man. Good stuff. That is excellent. I feel like we're getting a free coaching session.
Kind of. Well, let me ask you this last question. What is the best way for people to connect with you, and if they like to work with you, go to Africa with you, or maybe discuss anything with you?
Yeah, just get a hold of me at jim@magnificentsignificance.com. Magnificentsignificance.com. You can also, as I said earlier, I have a podcast. It's on every podcast. It's Apple, iHeart, Amazon,
Right.
Spotify, and that's called Magnificent Significance too. When you see a guy in the podcast comes up with a safari hat on, that's me. And so, yeah, those are great ways. In your audience out there, love to talk to you. If you're living a life of significance, hey, call me. Let's get on my podcast so you can share your life with others. And Robert, this has been great. I love this dialogue with you because I agree. We're like two brothers from another mother, man. I get it. We're running down the same path, and we're examples of what can be.
Of course.
And I'm sure we've all walked through. I've had my issues out of it, grow from those issues. And so I just can't thank you enough today for including me on this.
No, that was amazing. I truly enjoyed our conversation. Thank you, Jim, for being a guest in this podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on Big Life Weekly series. I hope today's episode gave you the insight, inspiration, and tools you need to move closer to the life you're meant to live. Remember, true success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about how you feel while you're achieving it. If you found value in our conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with others who are ready to embrace their big life. Until next time, stay focused, keep growing, enjoy life, and break free.